But you just said, Cenk, that you would have no problem with your daughter engaging in a sport, even we're discussing a combat sport, with someone who has male biology. And what people find so disturbing about the Imani Caliph story, I think, is the notion that a man is punching a woman in the face. So if you say you have no problem with this, with men, people with the biology of a man, even fighting women, even playing sports with women, do you think there is any circumstance in which it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face?
Can I just answer the damn question? So in high school, you're trying to find seven people that you think is a problem. Oh, okay, apparently I can't answer the damn question.
So in this video, Riley Gaines and Emily Wilson mopped the floor with this dude named Wajid Ali and Cenk Uygur. And I find it hilarious because anytime these two women are talking, they're telling the truth, they're talking facts, they're literally reading off statistics. Wajid and Cenk are over there shaking their heads. Cenk even mutters to himself, "That's not true," and some other things, because the truth hurts these people. I don't know why, but I find it hilarious and I love it, and I think you guys will too. So let's go ahead and check out the video.
Riley Gaines. So Riley, the issue here is not that they're trans women competing against women. The issue here is that they have XY chromosomes, is what has been claimed and made clear by other governing bodies in women's boxing who have banned them from competing in the last World Championships. So a slightly different case to the issue of trans athletes competing in women's sport, but nonetheless just as pertinent.
You hit the nail on the head, Piers. And to very briefly address the comment made previously that this campaign is a campaign surrounding being anti-trans, being against trans people, let's be very, very clear before I even say anything. What we are talking about as it pertains to the Olympics, or as Michael Knowles said, I mean, the gender ideology movement as a whole, it is not anti-anything. It is pro-parental rights, it is pro the safeguarding of children, and it is pro-women's rights. You can check any Gallup poll. That is something that majority of Americans, really globally, majority of people across the world agree upon. But yes, Piers, as it pertains to these boxers in the Olympics, they failed the chromosomal testing that every athlete, I believe, has to take. The requirement is that women have to have XX chromosomes. These athletes failed. Here's what we know. I listened to the press conference yesterday put on in Paris by the IBA, and this is what we know. Both boxers were initially subjected to a chromosomal test by an independent laboratory in Istanbul after the IBA received complaints from coaches and competitors during the 2022 Women's World Boxing Championships. Both athletes were then retested in India again during the next year during the same Women's World Boxing Championships in 2023 to clarify and confirm prior results. This is when both athletes were then found to have XY chromosomes. Both boxers were informed of the results of the test in writing. Both boxers were given the opportunity to appeal the findings to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. The IBA even offered to pay for the majority of any cost that would allow both boxers to appeal. One male athlete, he did not appeal the decision. Amin Khalif, I would say the athlete that has received the most prominence from Algeria here, he appealed the decision but then ultimately withdrew the appeal. That's what this is. This isn't an argument that is meant to be hateful. I mean, it's not even opinionated. These athletes are males, and males do not belong in women's sports. Really that simple.
Wajahat, I just don't understand why anyone, given what we've just heard, why anyone would think this is right or fair or equal or does anything to promote anything to do with women's sports or rights to fairness and equality. But by all means, try and defend it.
You start off with the clip of Trump saying he's going to promise to keep men out of women's bodies. And you know what? Go ahead and run with that, because Republicans want to have zero regulation, but they want to regulate women's bodies. They're attacking women. They're attacking biracial people. They're attacking Kamala Harris over her race. Now they're attacking LGBTQ people, and they're attacking Iman Khalif. I am here for Iman Khalif and winning. She medaled. She was born a woman. She identifies as a woman. It's female on her passport. She's boxed women. You are quoting the IBA that is run by Russia, the same IBA that is discredited by the Olympics Commission. The Olympics Commission doesn't even look at their testing and the results, completely discredited it. And the more that you attack these female boxers, the more you misgender them by calling them he, look what's happening around the world. People are disgusted by it. They're like, this is hateful, this is cruel, this is mean. You're attacking this poor Algerian boxer, making a fake story, quoting the Russia's IBA, which is discredited. So go for it.
Wajah,
go for it.
Wajah, let me just explain. I have not misgendered either of these boxers. I've called them she. That's fine. No problem with that. They were born with female reproductive organs. Well, I'm told they were born with female reproductive organs, but they have XY chromosomes. They didn't appeal against their ban.
They have hang on, Cenk.
Hang on, Cenk. I'll come to you. But Wajah, they didn't appeal when they had the chance to appeal. And the simple way they can clear this up before they box again, they can actually just say, here we are, I'm prepared to take a test. Let's do a simple swab sex test. And if it turns out they have an XY chromosome, would you then accept that that makes them biologically male? And would you accept that should make them ineligible to take part in a boxing competition against a biological female? Yes or no?
If you and Michael will take a test proving that you're male and submit the results,
yes, I will.
I'll be fine
I'll do
doing
it now.
the same.
I'll do it now.
It is not a big deal for Olympic athletes to be tested. They undergo a rigorous amount of testing for performance-enhancing drugs and things like that as it is. And what those performance-enhancing drugs are testing for are raised testosterone levels to indicate maybe that that person is on steroids or something, similar. So for the sake of competition and fairness in 2024, when, the transgender thing and all this is such a big issue, testing for the extra chromosome. And if I can add one more thing before Emily answers here, these athletes are fully aware that they've been banned by the World Boxing Committee. And the fact that they're still trying to compete against women in women's boxing in the Olympics is pretty much despicable. And if you agree with that, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now let's continue.
Yeah, this is, this subject, the fact that we have to talk this deeply about it is actually insane, because any human being on the planet that has any sort of common sense, and of course, this is why only Democrats disagree with this, go, if it's a man, they cannot compete with women. This is not about anything that has to do with trans people. But of course, naturally, what you do, you start attacking, oh, you're attacking Kamal about race. She's the one that's saying she's Indian and black. We don't care. I don't think race should be talked about, but you guys make it your entire platform. So who cares? It doesn't matter. What are her policies? You guys don't talk about that, and when then Trump brings it up, you get upset. It should be about protecting women. We don't care. I don't care. I mean, I live in LA. These are the least of my worries. I'm too busy trying to make sure I don't get robbed walking down the street. Yeah, and it's like protect women, keep men out of women's sports. There is no one on the planet who should be able to disagree with it, but of course, Democrats do, because I don't know. You guys are nuts. I don't know what to tell you. This is a very black and white situation. This is literally just about protecting the woman. Then again, I know you guys don't really know what a woman is, so of course you might have confusion, and especially when you're all about, women's rights. Okay, well, you guys weren't about women's rights when it came to forcing them to get a vaccine, but that's a whole nother story.
All right, let me bring in Cenk, who's been foaming at the mouth there. I mean, Cenk, I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and if she was competing in any kind of elite level sport, was potentially going to enter the... Well, you may throw your hands up in fury, but actually I don't want her getting into a situation where her dreams and aspirations in women's sport are curtailed because people like you think it's fine for biological males to compete against biological women. It's not fine. It's grotesquely unfair. Now, you might say, as Wajah has done, well, we can't believe a word of the tests that were done because Russia was behind. Okay, so do another test right now at the Olympics and show us the results. And if it turns out they are both XY chromosome, would you then change your mind? Yes or no?
So you guys have no idea what my positions are. I've been fighting the left on this issue for a while. And a lot of people got really mad at us.
Wait. You can't say that we don't know your position when you've been reacting to Emily with such disgust and disdain. It's almost like that toxic masculinity thing that the Democrats accuse MAGA and, conservatives of having all the time.
A lot of people got really mad at us. I believe the Olympics should do the testing. I believe that it doesn't help trans women to compete in women's events, especially in contact sports. Now, having said that, this whole thing is based on a lie. The IBA never showed that test. It's a Russian loon who runs it. It was a Russian sponsor, their only sponsor, and they were worried that she was going to be. Hold on, let me actually finish, because you've been lying about it the whole time, Piers. Can I just finally tell the truth to your viewers? They never presented that case. There's no test. They totally made it up because they were worried that she was going to be a Russian boxer. Do you know how many times she's lost? She's lost.
So, Cenk,
she's lost
why
9
didn't she appeal?
times. She's not some sort of demigod. She doesn't have XY chromosomes.
Why didn't she appeal?
You guys are just totally making it up.
Because, no, you're making it up.
Did you watch the press conference yesterday?
No, first of all, Piers, let's go one step at a time. One step at a time. Do you admit that test has never been shown publicly, and you're all taking the word of an absolute Russian lunatic who also said that the IOC was run by a pedophile in chief? Just totally bonkers guy. You've never seen the test.
Let me ask you.
Pretending it's real when it's never been real.
That same old typical Democrat cop-out. The Russians were behind it. Oh, the Russians. Oh, man. Give me a break, dude.
All right, let me ask you, before I go to Riley, let me just ask you, Cenk. Hang on, Riley, hang on. Hang on, Riley, I'll come to you, Riley. Hang on one sec. Cenk, I'm just going to ask you one more time. If they do another test, as I believe they absolutely should, to preserve the integrity of the Olympics, which promotes fairness and inclusion and equality, but is not doing that to women, if they do another test and it turns out they are both XY chromosome, would you accept that that means they should not be competing in women's sport? Yes or no?
So for the Olympics, she would still qualify, but I would disagree with the Olympics. I don't think she should compete in women's sports if she has XY chromosome. No, but Piers, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, our positions are not at all unreasonable. But you guys, you don't even know that she has XY chromosomes. It's totally made up. But you are so obsessed with this trans issue. You mentioned you have a 12-year-old girl. I have a 12-year-old girl. I don't mind if she competes against trans girls in junior high and high school. What are you going to do? Check the genitals of all those kids? What are you guys, nuts? Now, at the professional level, that's a different story.
I do mind. I can't believe that. So you would be quite happy.
Go check the genitals of all the kids, you lose.
You'd be quite happy for your daughter to get beaten by biological males. Completely insane. There's a whole reason, by the way, we separate the sexes at the Olympics. You know what it is? If we didn't, women wouldn't win anything. Let me go to Riley. Riley, as the only elite athlete, I believe, amongst us today, correct me if I'm wrong, panel, but Riley, you watched that whole press conference. I didn't get the feeling it was just the word of one raging Russian loon, because I heard a lot of non-Russian accents getting involved as well. It doesn't change the fact, as he said, they were found to have XY chromosomes in a test. They had a chance to appeal that to avoid being banned, and they chose not to appeal it. That is so damning. And even if it isn't, even if it was all terribly unfair, as Cenk and Wajhat would like us to believe, do another damn test then. Show the world you're actually biological women. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Riley.
Absolutely. We see a lot of information being pushed out there that these are just cisgender women with elevated levels of testosterone. The IBA made it very clear they did not do testosterone level testing. They never did that, not even one time. We don't know what these athletes' testosterone levels are. What they did do was test the karyotypes of these athletes. The only requirement was that these athletes had XX chromosomes, and they failed the test. No, they haven't come out and explicitly said these athletes have XY chromosomes, but that's because the Algerian and Taiwanese Olympic Committee have refused the IBA to release these results. I mean, the requirement was have XX chromosomes, and they failed that. Therefore, let's use intuitive thinking here. Let's use our brains. We all have them. That means they have a Y chromosome. And if you have a Y chromosome, you are a male. I mean, do we need to send like half of the population back to 6th grade biology?
You just admitted that there is no such test.
They took a chromosomal test, and they failed. The requirement was 2 XX chromosomes, and they failed. And they failed. Because of the Taiwanese and the Algerian Olympic Committee, they're not allowed to explicitly say these athletes have XY.
You know what?
Go watch the 30-minute, it's a 30-minute, very brief press conference.
You're going to keep saying everyone's lying, but the answer The answer is just do another test and show us. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Let me bring in Michael. Michael, I think...
Okay, look, you can make up anything. You can make up anything and then demand a test.
They were literally banned from the World Championships.
True. So let's...
They were banned from the World Championships.
By the IBA, a bunch of lunatics who've now been decertified.
So why didn't they appeal?
Because not just because of this, because they make up things one after another. This guy's totally... Right. So, guys, look, we have to have the bare minimum of agreeing on facts and evidence. And Riley just admitted there, and you've admitted, Piers, that there is no such test. That it's never been produced publicly. You're taking the word of a guy who seems to be a total raving lunatic, no matter where he comes from. Okay.
So why didn't they appeal the ban?
So then your big thing is, I've accused you of a... Hold on. So your big thing is, we accused of her of a thing that doesn't exist, and now she has to prove that it isn't true.
This is where I have to cut in and ask Sync, why is Khamenei wearing this cup protector thing on their midsection when the opponent that he's boxing there isn't?
It isn't true. Well, that's an absurd standard. I could accuse you of 1,000 things and demand that you prove that it's not true.
This is where you're being so disingenuous.
When did you stop beating your wife,
I'm going to bring Michael in, but hang on a second, Shank. You're being so disingenuous. Because the truth is, they were both banned from the last World Championships because they failed a sex test, which is rightly said. Fine, but they had a chance to appeal, but they didn't. They took the ban. They accepted the findings of the ban, or they would have appealed it. That's the bottom line, which means they're male. They've got a Y chromosome. Yes, Riley.
80% of the female athletes at the Olympics.
The particulars here.
Hang on, let Riley go first, then Michael.
80% of the female athletes at the Olympics are in favor of a simple cheek swab to test sex. Over 80% of the athletes, female athletes.
Takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. You do literally a cheek swab. That's it. And then you establish, are they male or female? Michael, I think you've got a more overarching solution to this.
I do, actually. But before we even get to that, which I think was simple enough and it worked a quarter century ago, I have this question for Cenk, because it seems like we're getting so bogged down in the particulars. What exactly are this fighter's chromosomes, and what leagues are credible in ascertaining this question? But you just said, Cenk, that you would have no problem with your daughter engaging in a sport, even we're discussing a combat sport, with someone who has male biology. And what people find so disturbing about the Imani Caliph story, I think, is the notion that a man is punching a woman in the face. So if you say you have no problem with this, with men, people with the biology of a man, even fighting women, even playing sports with women, do you think there is any circumstance in which it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face?
Yeah, so I'm glad you're asking the question, because I said it, and let me double down and clarify so that no one's confused about it. So my cutoff is high school. The reason why I fought with the left is beyond high school, especially in contact sports, you are risking not only the women in that ring, but you're also risking trans rights. Because the minute that a trans woman knocks out a biological female in a way that is significant, right, and does real damage, trans rights are going to be set back 50
Hold on, though. I want to be clear, Cenk.
And I don't want that. I want to protect the trans community. Hold on, can I just answer the question?
You're saying,
hold on.
I just want a little clarification.
Guys, in high school,
you're saying an 18-year-old man should be able to punch an 18-year-old woman in the face. 18 is fine. 19, that's when it gets
boxing
bad.
Is there in high school? What are you talking about? In high school, there are no contact sports like boxing and MMA. If you're talking about wrestling, that's about as much of a contact sport as there is.
Hold up. So you're trying to tell me that you're okay with your daughter playing soccer, softball, volleyball, swimming, all sports that are designated for girls' sports. They have boys' sports and girls' sports. Wrestling is for everybody, but you know, being a wrestler myself, anytime a girl tried to come and compete, they didn't really last that long in the wrestling room when it come to practice and stuff like that. But these other 4 sports, we already have a precedent. It was only like 3 or 4 months ago where a biological boy was playing on the girls' volleyball team. He spiked the ball into her face and caused permanent brain damage. She's still recovering to this day. Now, you want to talk about What happens if a boy steps in the batter's box during a girls' softball game and just hits a line drive right back at the pitcher's head, or slides hard into a base, or anything that could be a physical contact? Then you have swimming, which we just saw that the biological male went into the women's college category and just mopped the floor with all the women, beat everybody's records, won all the tournaments, cost biological women their actual positions when it comes to qualifying, potentially hurt scholarships and things like that. And that's the other thing. You get into scholarships. Well, how do you think people earn college scholarships? Because not everybody like you, Sink, not everybody's rich and can just pay for their kids' school. You know, some people have to actually earn their college education through their athletic abilities. Now, if you have these girls that are going through high school swimming and they're trying to compete and they're in the top of their game, and then some biological boy comes in and starts beating them and taking all their, beating them in meets, then these girls are at risk of losing their college scholarship and their college education. Don't you care about that? See, the crazy thing about this is leading us down a path to where women are going to have to fight for women's rights again. Now, the left wants to come out here and posture that they're on the side of women and everything, but the reality is they prioritize trans over women, and that's just where we are today. And the slippery slope is going to lead to another women's movement where they're going to have to literally separate themselves from all of the trans things, and the left is going to go nuts about it. But in reality, that's the future. It's simply the future, because if all these biological boys are going to be allowed to, go into track and take all the, beat everybody, the same thing with scholarships like I was talking about, the girls are going to have to create new girl-only XX chromosome divisions. Now, I like what Riley Gaines said there just a minute ago about it's just a simple cheek swab to determine your chromosomes. I wasn't sure if it was a blood test or whatever, because, a blood test is one thing, but a simple cheek swab, that is very simple. It takes no time, and it's something that the International Olympic Committee should absolutely do. And it's a reason why I haven't been watching the Olympics this year. I've been disgusted with it ever since the opening ceremony, and I just can't bring myself to watch it. As a person that has watched every Olympics my whole entire life, every category, that loves rooting for my countrymen and women to win the gold medal, to bring it back home to the United States, I just can't get behind it. I've seen a couple highlights, and they make me proud when I see these highlights, but like on X and things like that. But man, I just can't tune in. I can't give them my ratings. But okay, we got a few minutes left, so let's go ahead and finish this video up.
First of all, this affects 7 people. You're being ridiculous. And the reason you're talking about that is because you don't want to talk about higher wages and health insurance for everyone. But if you want to talk about high school, what you have to do in order to let me just goddamn it answer the question. Can I just answer the goddamn question? So in high school, you're trying to find 7 people that you think is a problem. Oh, okay, apparently I can't answer the goddamn question. Okay, listen. What you're doing is you're saying in order to find the 7 trans girls out there that are so dominating these sports, which is not even true. Leidecker is dominating swimming way more than any trans woman is on any sport. I'm not going to test her testosterone. I'm not going to test all that stuff. But in terms of the high school athletes, I'm not going to go and ask all the state officials and government creeps to go check the genitalia of our daughters so that they could ascertain whether they're trans or not. This is a trans witch hunt, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Okay, great. Good for you, Cenk. You're not going to worry about whether blokes are beating up women. Great. Michael, what's your bigger solution?
Did I just say that? I said on the professional
I hate
level.
to sound like
are
a
you
far
hard
right,
of hearing?
conservative
I know
here.
your trans hate has taken over your body
I'll wait
so
for Cenk
much.
to finish.
I have never hated trans people. I think trans people are entitled. I think trans people are entitled to the absolute same human rights as everybody else. And I've always promoted their rights to fairness and equality. Right to the point it actually erodes women's rights to fairness and equality. Michael, final word to you.
Thank you. I know this is going to sound like a far-right, crazy, conservative answer, but, we're all defending the great tradition of women's boxing. That did not exist in the Olympics until 2012. Women's boxing didn't exist pretty much anywhere until 1998, 1999. I'm all for women's sports. There are great sports and wonderful women athletes. To me, I think it's kind of distasteful to watch women get their heads cracked in. And so call me old-fashioned in that way. But I think maybe certain things are better left to the fellas, and catching blows to the head maybe would be one of them. And then we could circumvent this whole debate.
So there you have it. I believe Michael Knowles just actually said spank you, and I'm all for it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. And I want to remind you guys that I will be live Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with Atlas Thugged in our new The Jar Openers podcast, and I hope to see you guys there.